Being a student athlete at a time when, if it weren't for Title IX, I wouldn't have had a scholarship to go to school.
The Senate approves a major civil rights bill which restores the protection from discrimination to millions of women.
And then being able to be recruited for my master's degree to the University of Maryland. The only thing that I've seen really change is just the opportunity. And the opportunity for women just keeps getting more and more and more. Maryland has always been on the front foot with the opportunity to keep the women and the men equitable.
Because it happened so recently, I feel compelled to congratulate the lacrosse team for lifting Maryland again to the national championship.
And I think the region is a big part of that as well.
What a beautiful sight I see.
We sit in one of the most powerful regions in the world, and the opportunity for women to advance, and for women to be courageous, to speak up, to have huge voices.
We will not be shy about standing up to what matters to us.
When you have a sense that the environment or an opportunity isn't equal, I've always found that this region, in particular in the university, has had very strong, bold, brave women.
If there are no other senators wishing to vote, on this bill, the ayes are 75, the nays are 14, and the bill is passed.
I couldn't be more proud of the females that represent us in so many different areas. I think of a group of fearless young ladies, fearless women who represent this institution at the highest level. That's what Title IX is all about. It's about providing opportunities. It's about providing equality across the board. This law made us what we are today, and I am so grateful for all the women that represent us here at the University of Maryland.
No person in the United States shall, based on sex, be excluded from participation in, be denied the benefits of, or be subjected to discrimination under any education program or activity receiving federal financial assistance. Title IX is not specifically written for athletics, but as a part of institutions that do receive federal funding, athletics has to be providing equal opportunities for men and women in their sports programs.
Maryland was certainly a leader in terms of getting Title IX legislation passed. In fact, we are home to the godmother of Title IX. A Maryland alum, Bernice Sandler, helped spearhead the rights efforts that led to the Title IX legislation.
I think Title IX is the most important law that's been passed for women since women got the right to vote in 1970. I have to tell you, I wasn't inspired at all. I was mad. I was at the University of Maryland. I'd gotten my doctoral degree there. I was teaching there, and they had 7 openings all at once, and I wasn't even considered. So I went and asked one of my friends on the faculty. Without missing a beat, he said, well, let's face it, you come on too strong. And my then husband was really very good. He said, are there strong men in the department? And I said, yes. And he said, then it's not you, it's sex discrimination. And it took me a while to realize that's what it was. And then I got mad, and then I truly became inspired. I first assumed that because discrimination was clearly wrong and immoral, that it must be illegal. So this is at the height of the civil rights movement, so I figured it certainly must be illegal. And I began reading up and found out very quickly that sex discrimination in education against women as faculty or administrators or against students was perfectly legal. Eventually, I filed charges of sex discrimination against 250 colleges and universities. I testified at the hearings. I put the hearings together, and I've been involved with Title IX in one form or another for the last 40 or more years.
Jim Keough, he was one of the few men that saw life that way, that men and women should be treated equally. He cared about the women having the same opportunities as the men.
I think what was so attractive about the Maryland job is when I did my homework, the wins, the consistency, the crowds being nationally ranked, over the years. I mean, you can go all the way back when you had the first televised game.
He was trying to affect the contract with one of the TV networks, and they wanted to do the Maryland men's game. He said, you can't have a contract unless you do one women's nationally televised game.
It took people like Lefty Driesell. If there were more people like Lefty, women's basketball and women's sports would have progressed even faster than it did. But he believed so strongly in our women that he actually thought that maybe we could beat his men's team occasionally. Lefty actually practiced with us.
But Chris was a great coach.
He said, what do you need for the next game? And I said, I need a big left-hander.
She was going to play against some girl that was left-handed. And I had a pretty good left-handed hook shot, so I imitated that girl.
Because the other team has this big left-handed player. He said, well, I'm a big left-hander. So Lefty actually scrimmaged with us.
But I think people looked to us, and expected us at Maryland, the university, that we should be a leader. And that's what we all tried to do.
Title IX, I think, is a phenomenal opportunity for us to give broad-based experience and educational opportunities, both athletically and academically, to our young women and also our young men. And it does both. But obviously the law was written specifically to make sure that there was equal opportunity for our young women. And I think that over the past 50 years, we've seen some real growth in that area.
Women in the region, women in the state, women at the university have always had big roles, from athletic directors.
The University of Maryland has traditionally been a school that provides great opportunities for women. You go back to when Debbie Yao was hired as the athletic director here, I believe it was in 1994. She was a trendsetter, a groundbreaker really for women in leadership in college athletics.
Women have been in an equitable situation as long as I've been at the university.
Sue Tyler and Cindy Timshaw, both of them have been true trailblazers and set the tone and worked so hard to continue to grow women's lacrosse and women's sports.
When my father started here at Maryland, he was the head coach, and he was the assistant coach. He was the athletic trainer. He used to tape their ankles, and on away trips he would drive the van, and another gymnast would drive another van. And we've come so far. We have a full staff of 3 assistant coaches and a full-time trainer, and buses that we travel on.
When I started here, there was a head coach, and your volunteer coach was usually a 5th-year senior or somebody that got hurt.
Peanut butter and jelly sandwiches were our big thing.
I remember when I played and we were making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches after games.
And sometimes we had the bologna, and that was an upgrade.
When we made the jump to the NC2A, there was scholarship money available to us. With more athletes on scholarship, you had to put more women in positions like training, mental health, strength and conditioning, on and on and on. Every time we made a small jump, it was a huge jump for women who, years before, really, it was a closed circuit.
I knew that we had to continue to work hard to just get chances to do anything. If we weren't willing to go ahead and try stuff that we have never been allowed to do, we couldn't be nervous about it. We had to just do it.
In 1974, women's basketball graduated, leaving home after 40 years in Brinkert Fieldhouse.
We played all of our games in Brinkert Fieldhouse, and standing room only. 25 people in there, probably was a packed house.
Good evening and welcome to the University of Maryland and Cole Fieldhouse.
When I took over, I just said that I just wanted us to get into Cole.
35 coach of the University of Maryland, Chris Weller. Her 17-year career has been spectacular, and this, her crowning achievement.
It was important for us to be seen as first-class citizens and to be athletes in the athletic department. I didn't want us shuffled off into some smaller area of campus, removed, kind of out of the way, out of sight, out of mind.
Working with scholarships for the first time, Weller recruited All-Americans like Tara Heiss and Vicki Bullitt. Her players won the first ever ACC Women's Championship. And then they won 7 more, 3 times winning their way into the Final Four. In 1992, the Lady Terps, ranked #1, sold out Cole Fieldhouse.
I just tried to march out of the tunnel, go straight to the bench, do my things that I do prior to a game, and just focus on the court. And I snuck a peek just a couple times. It made me cry. And when I saw it in my TV room, I had to turn the sound down 3 times. And it brought tears to my eyes because it was, it was just so unbelievable.
I can remember one specific year that we went to our meetings, NC2A meetings. We were voting on whether or not to move from 6 scholarships to 10 scholarships. And many of the old guard felt like, no, that gives all of these top programs more scholarships to keep us down. And I voted, the more scholarships you put, the more opportunities for women. And if you now have 10, you need that volunteer coach. You need that extra hand to be able to move that many people around.
I am lucky enough that I was born in an era where I could play basketball. I played 5-on-5 basketball, sometimes hearing some folks talk about playing 3-on-3. They played 6 versus 6, and they played half on one court, half on the other court.
Over 10 years ago now, when I first started in college football, you didn't see women in leadership roles. For the few women in football, you would see them most likely in an administrative role, and unfortunately there was a lack of accommodations for women in football. You would see women wearing men's gear for the team-issued gear. There would be no locker room space. Unfortunately, sometimes they were even excluded from meetings or practices because it was viewed as inappropriate or maybe even a distraction.
I started here as a freshman in 1995, and Maryland was great to our women's teams and took care of us, but also grew with us. And as sports continue to grow and develop, Maryland was right there pushing their women's team along and supporting us every step of the way.
I think we have such a great emphasis on our female student athletes, and I think that we're seeing those opportunities around campus by some of the facilities that we're putting in place.
Building this new facility for these programs is huge. It just shows the true commitment to our female athletes who deserve this.
To be able to put something in place for them facility-wise that stands behind the program's success sends a strong message that we believe in our female student athletes and providing them resources to back that up.
One of the things that we're proud of is that we're continuing to build physical structures that will allow our female student athletes to become the best that they can be. But also part of that is that we're able to build mental structures and we're able to provide them opportunities in the leadership realm. And so having them have opportunities in our Student Athlete Advisory Council, in our Leadership Academy, and our Gossett Fellows program will also better prepare them as they move into their life after college sports.
As our university continues to promote our athletes and our programs, we're all looking to be the best we can be and help our athletes succeed at whatever their next step they take is.
You are training the athletes not only to be good competitors, but to be stepping forward into the workforce.
What we're trying to teach young women in this industry is that they can actually do anything that they want.
Women are now in positions where they can make decisions for women.
It starts really from the top and goes all the way through our administration, starting with Colleen Sorum and all of the great female leaders we have in our administration, and continues on down into the unbelievable group of women head coaches that we have.
You look at some of our strong female coaches. I mean, you talk about Brenda Fries, Missy Mahard, Kathy Reese.
All of us are looking up to people like them, and they are inspiring others. And with that opportunity that we have gotten with Title IX, those women are showing that we can break down the glass ceiling. And I believe that they have also inspired me to break the glass ceiling as well.
What a great game. I mean, just super proud of everybody right now.
I think that has been a part of the growth we've seen through Title IX, with women being able and being empowered to be a part of leadership positions.
When you look at the landscape of Maryland and who we're hiring and the leaders that we're putting into place, I mean, we're setting these athletes up for success.
When we're looking for candidates, we got to search, not just waiting for applicants to come in, but let's identify the best candidates out there. But let's make sure that we have a diverse pool of candidates to include women and ethnic minorities. What I found is that women make strong leaders. So I've been fortunate enough to find some very talented women who have come in here and done an exceptional job. Your new head coach, a very, very strong team that leads us in the right direction.
You believe in what you see, and I think that when our student athletes see people, they believe they can be it.
My first role in football was the water girl. I was a student trainer. Being a student, I had women leadership. Seeing women in those roles, I knew that no matter what I wanted to do, I could accomplish that.
Our youth are growing up looking up to these awesome college athletes as people that they want to be like when they get older.
You need to find people that look like you, that can understand you from a different perspective. And with those perspectives as an athlete, and me being a Black, Indigenous woman of color in the volleyball world, hopefully younger girls in the same area and all across the country can look up to me.
I think when you look back at where we were when Title IX was implemented to where we are today, we've taken great strides, and certainly we have a long way to go. But you think of exciting things such as the first scholarships, the first full coaching contracts, the first televised game for female student athletes. I think you just see the increase in opportunities being provided to exposure for women student athletes.
You're seeing a national landscape change, and some of that is, again, about you can't believe it until you see it.
The growth is there. We just have to continue to push for more opportunity.
I think it's really about the representation and the ability to give the platform, an equal platform, to women on the same stage as the men have gotten. And I think Maryland continues to do that at every opportunity.
We have created equal opportunities for ourselves given by Title IX, and succeeding off of that, using it, building off of it, and having women that are looking up to other women, you know, from college to coaches to young players in high school and middle school. We have found ways to create a better environment for all of us.
You know, the work is never done. I mean, every year I feel like here at Maryland and across the country we're making strides, but we have to continue to stay vigilant and make sure that we are always pushing to help our young female student athletes be the best version of themselves as a student athlete, but even more as they prepare to be professionals in the working world.
We often talk about having a seat at the table. How can we answer the call of women in the workplace if we don't have them sitting at the table, being able to advocate for some of the things that women face in the workplace? I think making sure that women have equal opportunities, both in athletics and in the workplace, is imperative to continue to drive forward the mission of Title IX. And here at Maryland, we strive every day to continue to do that.
I certainly think here at the University, Maryland's doing everything that it can to be just super aware, conscious, and make sure that the environment and the future for women is as it should be.
I would say and challenge people to continue to invite women into the spaces, put them in positions of leadership, and continue to listen so that we can move the needle forward. As a leader of a group of young women, I make sure every day to not only teach them about who has come before them, but also the responsibility for them to look out for those in front of them. And so I think Title IX has been such an important part of that, and to continue to pass that message on to the next generation is a big priority of mine.
Every time we need something, we grow. And that growth is never more apparent than right now.
You know, I'm pretty proud of what we've done here. We are always going to look to get better, but I think that what we're doing is really exciting.